here, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be dedicated to My Hero Academia, Chapter 113, Tests Aftermath. And we're kind of opening right up where we left off last time with the flame tornado caused by Todoroki and Yoarashi, or Inasa, either way. You know who I mean. And Gang Orca is pretty much thinking to himself that while the force and accuracy may have taken a hit, the paralysis wasn't enough to take him out. He just barely managing to control his quirk. Meanwhile, Todoroki is completely paralyzed, but he can still cloak Yoarashi's wind with his flames. And while he's thinking to himself that while it does not make up for their ridiculous squabbling earlier, still, not bad. Not bad at all. They say that pounding the rain hardens the ground, and they realize their own mistakes and tried to fix things. Gotta say I'm impressed with their persistence. Meanwhile, the flunkies are looking behind him and seeing that the big fist is trapped by that fiery windstorm. Think he's really in trouble? Just like a real whale, a big fist is vulnerable to drying out. Forget the wind, go after the flame user. Of course, before they can go too far, like Todoroki's using ice to protect himself. And he's thinking back to earlier when he thought how he couldn't use his right and left simultaneously without slowing himself down, but at the moment being slow is not really an issue. And while the other flunkies are wondering if they should go back to help, Deku joins in and starts attacking them. Thinking that he has to take down the villains. Fortunately, he's not alone because we get Ojiro, finally reminded of his name. That's on me. Joining in the fight is like telling Deku that he's hearing that all the victims are safe now and their backup's coming soon. We see Uraraka and Momo and a few others like doing exactly that. The Muppet Man, I think his name is Mara, but I'm still going to call him the Muppet Man, is checking on the remaining members on HUC members on standby. It looks like there's 3 more to go before it's all over. That's when he'll put an end to the test. So just don't let up. And I think to himself, I see a nap in my future. And at that moment, we also see Tokoyami and Ashido joining in the fight, declaring that they're here to help. Some other testies are in there as well, helping Shindo. The flunkies are thinking so that they got to make fetch it out of every last one of these guys. But before they can get too far into that, we see Tsuyu behind them. She's apparently refined her frog abilities for use in battle, and her new move is camouflage. So she's actually right behind him and then tongue lashes the whole bunch. Little side note, we have Deku here. It's like, Tsuyu! She's about to call her by surname and switch to first as her usual request. I find it funny that he's still doing that. She also confirms that most of the search and rescue is mostly done. Meanwhile, we get Shiketsu Hyde joining in, specifically Chewbacca, the big old hairy man. I thought I sent Hinasa this way. The fact that there's so many pawns left is a disgrace to the Shiketsu name. And as he's shouting all this and attacking the flunkies, we see a little shot of Shishikura just kind of watching. Not quite sure what that's about, unless it's like, didn't I do that? Some other ones are noticing that between that everybody's showing up is the rescue effort is over, but Tokoyami knows to not let up. Deku is watching the flame tornado, and within the tornado, we get a little bit of dialogue from Gang Orca. It's like, red hot prison of fiery wind. It's a decent idea. If I was an ordinary villain, I might surrender and beg for mercy. However, that just ain't the case. From the second you hit me with this, I was already planning my next move. We see him pouring water all over himself to keep from drying out. Then he uses his echo powers to just blow the wind away. And looking quite freaky, I will say that. It's like, wow, what now? Todoroki, I got nothing. Fortunately, Deku does not have nothing, and he actually sneak attacks him from the side at the last moment there. Gang Orca is able to block. And Gang Orca recognizes him, and Todoroki's like, it's always you. While Yoarashi is also just kind of watching. Of course, before the fight could go any further, a loud buzzer just blares and at present, every last HUZ member on the field has been rescued from impending danger. Therefore, I declare that this test is over. And with the wind's kind of taking out Deku's tail, he just kind of falls flat on the ground. Like, wait, it's over? The results will be announced once all the scores are tallied. Those with injuries, please proceed to the medical area, yada yada yada. Deku's just kind of like, wait, what? Hang on, what? It's over, just like that? That's where the big wall is. He's like coming down off the high. It looks like the flunkies apologize for messing up badly and note that it must have been hard for him to move around with that restraint gear on him. Gang Gorka, however, is thinking to himself that even without that gear weighing him down, that flame tornado was no joke. And then there's damage between that, the damage he took from drying out, and Midoriya's sneak attack at the very end. If that test had dragged on, he's not too sure he would have made out in one piece. And then at the end, everybody's like changed back into school uniforms, and just kind of like checking to see who passed and who didn't, etc. Everybody's nervous, noticing that this is the hardest. The waiting is the worst part. The Muppet Man is announcing that it's time for the results, and that he explains that their scoring system was based on deducting points on two issues as we watched you perform, essentially judging you on the ability to act flawlessly in a crisis. And we kind of get like a pointed shot of Yoarashi at this moment, and although we're talking about waiting for the results, we also see Todoroki. Here are the names of those who passed in alphabetical order. Keeping everything I said in mind, please take a look. Oh, actually, hang on. Oh, one little spot I forgot here because I accidentally went past it. At the time of the test ended, we actually see Bakugo's like. It's like he's actually furious because he missed the action. He wanted to correct some skulls, but apparently they were rescuing the last three. They were the ones rescuing the last three people. Actually, if that's the case, I find that pretty hilarious. But I'll get to that a little later. Right. So we see the big old test board, and you can actually count the number of people who passed on here. It's like basically it's like 9 by 10. What it was? What it was? 8. Can't quite get a good look on there. It's like basically the number is like 89 out of 100. I can't quite pull it up on here because it's like every time I move the mouse a certain way, like a little pop-up thing gets in the way. So, oh wait, hey, here we go. Zoom. Never mind. And they realize that the people watching are seeing a bunch of names on there. It's like there's a girl who's like jumping up a chair, like, there I am, I totally passed. Algo just seems to be going, yeah. But Kirishima was kind of pointing something out to him. We see Deku and Mineta both like me, am I, me, because they're Midoriya and Mineta. And in that we do see like Deku actually looks up and sees Midoriya, Izuku, and just a couple names below that we see Mineta and Minoru. Well, Mino because it's partly cut off, but still, he's in there. So our confirmed path, and then we also see Yoarashi kind of looking down there. It's like he sees nothing between the syllables of Ya and Yu, and nope, not there. And as he's saying not there, we also get a close-up of Todoroki, who we can presume is also not there. Incidentally, while Yoarashi looking for his name, we do see that Yaoyorozu passed. So that's 3 confirmed here, but I think we can assume that everybody except Todoroki made it through. Maybe Bakugo, I don't know. He's like having this like God reaction on there, but I don't know. See, can't quite tell there's something going on down there besides just that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, that is where the chapter ends. And as has been suspected from this point, like not just me, but like a bunch of others, like Yoarashi definitely didn't pass, and it's very likely, it's fairly safe to assume that Todoroki did not either. Since having one pass and the other didn't is pretty unfair, unless Todoroki just did that much better in the rescues, which isn't completely out of the question, because I believe I noted before that before all this happened, Yoarashi had fewer points than Bakugo. So it's possible that Todoroki is the just barely scraped by. But I kind of half hope it didn't, and most personally doubt it anyway. The question will be, what happens now? Because one thing, I don't know if I caught it the first time I read this, but reading it for this review, I did realize that Todoroki noting that Deku is the one who's always kind of stepping in at times like this, or stepping up rather. And indeed, Midori, like I said, I don't think there's any. Even though Midori had a couple of early slip-ups with the rescue phase, there is no doubt that was going to pass. Not just because of main character conditions, but also because he's the one who snapped Todoroki and Yoarashi out of their rivalry. So he's the one who kind of got in the way. He's the one who snapped him out of that. He's the one who also like kept fighting against it, And I love the fact that I was like almost flabbergasted at the fact that the test just suddenly ends. Like big intense fight, ooh, it's over. Like wait, he's like it's almost like he's coming down from the adrenaline. He can't quite make out what he's supposed to be doing now. Right. And I do like the fact. I think we can safely assume at this point that most of 1A passed, like except for with the exception of Todoroki. I mean, now, despite my earlier statements about how Minato would be the one to pull through on here, because that was my own assumption, the fact that he did pass kind of makes it clear that pretty much a lot of people did. In fact, like I said, we came into this test with 100 people, and 89 passed. So we only lost, not counting Todoroki and Yorashi, there's only like 9 other people who failed. And like I said, Bakugo is kind of up in the air, but I think we can safely assume he did as well. It's actually kind of funny. There's a Facebook thing I follow for My Hero Academia, and like guys all excited because Bakugo passed, but at the same time I'm thinking to myself, yeah, he very probably did, but we don't actually know that yet. Like, nothing actually told us, hey, Bakugo passed. Like, we're not gonna look up in there and see like Bakugo Katsuki. But anyway, I was like the little thing of Mineta and Deku both like just like scanning it for their names because they would be together. Still, this is a big deal though. It's like now, as of this moment, Deku is on a major step to his dream of being a hero. He's got the what Eraser had called semi-pro status now. So if things get crazy in the field, he'll actually be able to act now. So that's definitely a big thing on there, and it definitely seems like his leg focused style of fighting is definitely like working out for him too. So that's good. I'm hoping next chapter maybe we'll see a little bit more on how they placed compared to each other, like who did great, who did weak, that sort of thing, or maybe like go into more detail about how everyone was scored. A couple of possibilities involving Todoroki that I saw pointed out or suggested. Todoroki might pass, but refuse it, sort of like how Ojiro did during the sports festival, feeling he didn't earn it or deserve it. A lot of people feel that this would be a weak point because it really takes away from the consequences, even if it is Todoroki himself kind of like making them happen anyway. I can at least see maybe like barely scraping by, though, like maybe like just by the skin of his teeth being like the lowest score of the bunch. The other option I don't know if anybody suggested it, but I know I thought of it at least. He does fail, but Endeavor gets furious and pulls some string to make the force a pass for him. I don't see that as likely, especially given their relationship. But I can't actually rule it out either. I mean, and even then, I can even imagine it as a new way of driving an even bigger wedge between him and Todoroki. So that's a possibility. But I'm thinking next chapter we'll learn more about who passed exactly, or see if there was anybody else in 1A who failed besides Todoroki. Yeah, because at this point, I know I suggested it earlier. I'm pretty sure I did, but the way it's presented, I can't really see Inasa failing and Todoroki passing at this stage. Not, it just wouldn't be right as far as like how the narrative's kind of putting everything out. Yeah. Anyway, kind of come back to something here. Like, I love the fact that apparently the test gets called off while Bakugo and Kaminari and Kirishima are actually rescuing people. So, and Kirishima actually wonders, is that because of us? Like, as action hungry as Bakugo is, I find it hilarious that the test ends because he's the one rescuing the last few people. That's actually pretty funny, I think. But I think we got everything kind of going here. I do like the fact that Gang Orca recognizes Midoriya. I don't know if he just knew him. I can't remember if they've ever met or interacted before. But the fact that he did that and acknowledges that Midoriya might very well have had him had the fight kept going. So it's always nice to see like the big guys kind of like acknowledge the up and comers in that way. Yeah, in a real straight serious fight, yeah, they wouldn't win, but they definitely like put their all into it and did a good job nonetheless. So I'm not quite sure what the thing with Chewbacca and Shishikura was about. Like he like declaring that it's a disgrace that she catch you high. And we kind of see I mean, is it just because like he actually went and failed so early or something? I don't know. Alright, but while I ponder that, I'm gonna go ahead and call the review here. Like I said that's been My Hero Academia chapter 100. Was it 13 or 14 here? Either way, it's this is the conclusion of the provisionary test, provisional licensing exam. Yeah, 113. Okay. And I mentioned this on my One Piece review, but I was thinking about maybe adding The Promised Neverland to this list of stuff I review. I've been reading that and I've really been getting into it. But it's still kind of early on to really see if it's going to be like a strong winner or not. Then again, it might end up being genuinely short, so I don't know if it might be too late get on board with that. So I'm thinking about it. But in the meantime, have a good time and I'll see you next week.